you won't know how deep the water is until you dive into it. Because you got to be able to plunge in. You can't just see from the top and say, hey man, I don't know if I can swim on it or not. I think the coaches are the lifeguards for you, if you will, on the pool. But you have to dive in to experience the beauty underneath the water.
Hey everybody, and welcome to That's a Rep. I'm John, and I'm excited today to talk to another one of our coaches. We've been doing a series where we've kind of taken a deep dive into what sessions are like, what a coach is like, and how this whole relationship works. Today, we're excited to be with Coach Anu, and we are excited to hear his story and kind of how he got here. So let's jump right into it. Can you tell us how you got connected, introduce yourself, and then we'll jump into some more stuff.
Hey, John. Hey, thanks for having me. Absolutely. It's my honor and my privilege to be here with you. I got connected to actually the CEO of Forte and his wife through our local church
Cool.
About 5 years ago. And I was just pondering some questions and some ideas and thoughts. And they approached to me because on my other side of my job, I do is work as an associate pastor for the local church, and is just getting to know some Vineet and Sandia, and they approached to me saying, "Hey, would you be interested in being a coach?" I didn't know what that meant. I think back in there we used the term guide, and so I was like, "Sure." Learned a little bit about what it was, and it felt right in as to what I do. I was quite encouraged. My cup was full as I was doing a couple sessions. Be honest with you, it was a little nerve-wracking at first. But I've been enjoying so far. It's been great just to be able to know the Rajans and be a part of Forte family.
That's awesome. And the Rajans are an amazing family couple, and we love working with them alongside them. Vineet would be quick to correct if I said working for him because he considers us a team. But that's so cool. I was a pastor for a long time myself, and we find that to be a common thread in a lot of the people that work at Forte is there's just a general sense that people who work here care for other people. And that's why we're in this thing. You know, my role is marketing and content, but I still do it because I care for people. And so I love hearing that and your heart for that as well. And you mentioned that we used to call you guides. And it is probably a term that might make a little bit more sense considering what we've talked about with Lisa and Kimberly and our other ones. You really do guide people along. And Absolutely. A coach does the same thing in a sense that we're giving you suggestions, maybe ideas, but not telling you exactly how to do it. Because you're the one that has to, let's say, run with the ball down the court. You know, you have to do the work. So It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So you mentioned the sessions. The first couple for you were nerve-wracking. You had the training and all that kind of stuff. So can you walk me through what a first session with a new member is actually like? What you try to build to find? What are you listening for underneath what they're saying? And maybe give us a perspective of how you handle that as well.
I do my homework a little bit in advance when a person jumps in and makes a connection, and I try to study who he or she is at first, just to get a contextual perspective. But my first session in there is wanting to feel where this person is at the moment. And understand sort of the groundwork or the platform where they are, and just know who they are. Is there any points of contention into their mental health, mental fitness, into their work, into their family life, into their personal life, and then ask some poignant question to them to understand. Hey, is there anything that is in the scale of, for example, a question I normally ask is, how are you feeling right now? Are you feeling loved? Are you feeling grateful? And then from a scale to 1 to 10, and then it just opens up a book of worm from that standpoint.
So I love that you get to know them first. Obviously, you can't jump right into let's fix things. And that's obviously not what you do as a coach either. But it's really cool to hear that you care enough to see that they need to feel known first.
Absolutely.
They need to feel that they are a human being and seen in that way. Because I think a lot of people come into sessions thinking like, man, they're going to think I'm broken because I need this. They're going to think this about me and these preconceived notions. And that's not the reality. We see you as a
Absolutely.
human being because we all are.
Absolutely.
And we need that
Yeah.
support. So
Yeah.
without naming anyone, can you describe a kind of session where the presenting issue and the real issue turned out to be two different things? How did you find your way to the real issue?
I can think of an example early on where the member is still part of my connections, even as of now. This individual came in not knowing what Forte was all about, to be honest with you. It was offered to her through her employer, and this individual just said, "Hey, I just want to know what you all do." And I basically, my first question was, "Hey, how are you? Tell me more about you. I want to hear about you and understand sort of like I said earlier, the groundwork of where she is." And then at first she felt like, you know what, I probably don't need this in my personal life currently. But as time went by and I started asking some questions to this individual, things started to surface up in ways where she didn't realize that some of the things that she was struggling through was on those questions that I was asking, and a light bulb went up.
Yep.
And she realized, actually, I'm going through a lot of pain inside of my heart, inside of my life. And nobody had pointed that pain or the struggle or the challenges that she was facing. It was just so numb that it didn't feel anything until I asked a particular question or two and made her feel like, yeah, tell me more. And I think that inquisitive mindset on her, as well as me asking those questions, helped her understand, man, this is so helpful. This is so great. And now we've got a cadence of communication and connection almost every week now.
I think you hit on something that resonates with me. If you were to watch the episode with Coach Lisa, she did something similar where I was like, I put her on the spot and said, hey, do a session with me. And it went from like her asking questions to me having a realization on the podcast. And I was like, okay, let's cut this short. But the idea of people most of the time come in thinking they're feeling one thing, but then realize, oh, that might be rooted in something entirely different that I hadn't really thought of. And that is the key to helping me or moving me forward. And again, it goes back to seeing them as a human, seeing them as fully known and seen and understood, and then they can understand themselves. And I had a moment actually with Sandhya that you mentioned earlier at one of our offsites where I've always kind of given off maybe the wrong vibe to people. I can rub people wrong of I'm kind of intense, or people might consider me a jerk because I'm direct. And I said that to her at our offsite of like, yeah, people think this about me. And she was like, I don't think you're that at all. I think you're passionate about what you do. You believe in the things that you do. And so, yeah, you're passionate about it, the way you talk about it. And it was the first time where somebody was able to say that and verbalize it in a way where I was like, that's exactly it. And I felt seen in that moment. And it meant so much to me. And it still means something to me now because I was seen as a human being, not as like what people's reflection of me they thought it was or whatever, but I saw the underneath, and I didn't even realize that about myself, but I got it in the moment. Let me ask you one thing. What's a question you ask often that most people have never been asked before?
I usually ask this question, what are you most proud of? At times, not often, but at times I usually say, hey, twofold questions. What are you most proud of, and what are you most grateful for? And at times that question shocks people because they don't understand they're proud of some things. Even the smallest accomplishments, we try to pin them down. At least I try to pin them down. But they can think of, for example, are you proud of you being able to brush your teeth in the morning? And they might be like, that is, I don't think it from that perspective, but to be honest with you, we don't realize the impact that small little gesture of being able to brush our teeth does, that we can be proudful for. Those are the small wins. And I try to articulate in such a way on my sessions where they feel like, oh yeah, I can be proud of that I have a hand, and I'm grateful that I could brush my teeth in the morning. And I lead that question with that example sometimes so that they can start thinking of some of the mundanes or the
Mhm.
minuscule things of life on a day-to-day rhythm, because we forget we still have an air in our lungs, that we are, it's a miracle that we're still walking on this
Yeah.
planet Earth. And to be able to realize that we can always be grateful for the smallest to the biggest moments. Some of the accolades or the accomplishments are not just in the certificates that we post on our walls. It's
Yeah.
actually in the daily routines of life that we have to count on, be grateful, and be proud of.
I got out of bed today. You know,
Yeah,
that's something I can be proud of. And I said I love you to my kids and my wife. Like that's something I can be proud of. I
absolutely.
love that. You mentioned
Absolutely.
being a pastor earlier, and I was
Yeah.
one of the teaching pastors. I was a worship pastor at my church too. And something that was difficult, and I'm going to draw a parallel here, was that we put so much effort into an hour on a Sunday morning
Uh,
and half hour music, half hour teaching. Sometimes I was
uh,
doing all of that.
uh,
And then I would turn around on a Monday morning, and the thing that I preached about, I would see one of my congregation members spouting something on social media, the exact opposite.
uh,
And it was like, man, I put so much effort into this sermon and it didn't do anything. And
mm,
what you realize as a pastor is you can only do so much on Sundays.
absolutely.
And
Mhm.
it's up to the person, though, to follow through in their own faith walk. And so,
Absolutely.
as a coach for Forte, you can put a lot of effort into a 30, 45, 60-minute session and
Yeah.
really do a lot of work. But it's the in between times that matter
Uh-huh.
even more. These sessions
Uh-huh.
are huge for our clients.
Uh-huh.
But if they
Uh-huh.
don't implement the things that they're realizing, and we call these reps, the things that
Uh-huh.
you can do every day, then
Yeah.
their lives aren't really going to be changed. So,
Yeah.
in that vein, what's a rep you've given a member that sounded almost too small to matter? Like you said, being grateful for brushing your teeth, but it ended
Yeah.
up doing the most work. That's something that they started to daily do and they realized,
Yeah.
hey, this is making an impact.
I try to always analyze or ask the members to take a moment to pause in life,
Mm,
to sit back and just analyze, not even analyze per se, but just to think of a moment to pause. You cannot be grateful when you're constantly thinking about something.
yeah.
Right? What that does you when you're great, what you think about being grateful, or the spirit of gratitude comes in a moment when you just have to sit down, take a pause, not necessarily a reset, but just a pause into their
Yeah.
life and say, you know what, I am actually very grateful for some of the opportunities that I have.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a society these days where it's what's the next thing? What's the next
Yep.
move? What's the next career? What's the next action? What's the next promotion?
Mm-hmm.
And we forget that that pausing is a good rhythm of
Yeah.
life. And I try to emphasize that pause rhythm rep, if you will, every moment I have to say to the members I talk to, hey, have you
Mhm.
taken a pause
Yeah.
in today, this week? What was your pause moment?
Yep.
What did you reflect back on that pause moment? And again, like I said earlier, it just the light bulb goes out. Oh yeah, thank you for reminding me. There are some consistent members now. They say like, oh wow, thank you for reminding me. I've got to take more pause moments in my
Yep.
life. I have a member who has a young 2-year-old daughter, and as you and I have kids, life can be full with kids around.
Yeah.
But you got to take some moment to just pause and say, hey, where are my priorities?
Yep.
And I give this rock principle that I've learned recently. Hey, where are some of my big and my small rocks?
Yep.
And how do I align those rocks? And that pause session or that pause
Yep.
rep is going to allow them to think, okay, I've got to align some of my rocks in the way I should align. So my life is balanced, my life is grateful, and I'm proud of who I am.
Yeah. And I think rocks or values, you might call them too, are like, these are the main things that I built on. This is my foundation. And you have to pause to reflect on, is my direction, the travel that I'm heading, based on those things? Because if it's
Yeah,
not, you got to check yourself and say, am I headed
absolutely.
in the wrong direction then? Because this is what
Absolutely.
really matters. And like you said, there are moments where I'm so stressed out and I just feel like there's too much on my plate or whatever it is. And I'll stop and just watch my kids eat dinner. And it
Yeah.
brings me such joy to see my 5-year-old, the way he chews, or
Yeah.
the way they talk to each other. They're playing in the backyard. My son, who is 10, he's turning 10 Saturday, built
Wow.
a fort in the backyard. And he was
Wow.
so proud of that. And it was so much fun to watch him do that. And those are the moments as a parent, I think you're so focused on, I need to provide, I need to get that promotion so that I can do better for my kids. And all
Mm.
they really want is for you to recognize, I built a fort. Check this out. Take a
Yeah.
minute and just spend some time
Yeah.
with me. So that's
Absolutely.
huge. I
Absolutely.
love that.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
what are some reps maybe that haven't worked, that haven't stuck for people, and you feel like, hey, this first version, let's tweak that. How do we change that? Have there been moments like that for you with some members?
I think when it comes to point of sometimes engagement, engagement with um, engagement with their work, engagement with people, engagement with tasks
Mm-hmm.
or responsibilities that they have. I think that takes a lot more understanding on some of the members I've talked to, because they feel like they need to check the box. They need to have to-dos finished, wrapped up, done by the end of the day, by the end of the week, by the end of the month. And that engagement component, am I being engaged in the things that I am doing? Is it driving me purpose? Is it driving me fulfillment? And that's a harder element of rep for members to not necessarily understand, but to get a hold of.
Yeah.
And that's been sort of, as a coach, I'll say this, has been sort of the challenge, because again, everybody's wanting to do the best they can, but they forget the engagement component. They forget that there is life also, where you've got to be able to enjoy life, not just endure it.
Yeah, and we can kind of draw a parallel. We do this a lot with physical fitness too, that you can go to the gym and work out a ton and still feel miserable. Like you can do all of that engagement and everything in that sense, but not be engaged with who you are and what the reasoning was of why you wanted to get healthy in the first place. You're just going through the motions, and you could be jacked, but completely miserable at the same time, because all you do is eat rice and chicken. And I think that's an interesting parallel with mental fitness too, is like, that's why it's important to pause. Because you could be doing all the reps, you can be having the sessions, but if you're not taking the time to reflect on who you are and your values, your rocks, it doesn't really matter.
There's a difference between mental health and mental fitness.
Yep.
I think mental health is so external, but mental fitness is so internal. I think it's a rhythm of practice that you've got to be able to stay fit mentally. It's not a one-time deal, right?
Yeah.
You're not just going to the doctor once a year, but I think your fitness has to be so strong, which takes repetition, which takes practice, which takes energy, which takes thought process, and we forget that mental health is encompassing everything. But I think the key to it is the mental fitness. As you go to the gym every single day, or how often do you go? Once in 2 days,
right?
You are staying fit. You're staying strong. You're staying agile, and mental fitness also parallelly does the same way. You got to be agile mentally to have a longer longevity in life mentally. So. And I just wanted to, bridge that concept, because people may not understand what mental fitness essentially is, but they try to synonymize mental fitness to mental health.
Yeah, and I was just thinking too, another way to dig a little deeper with that is physical fitness. You can work out as much as you want, but if you're eating McDonald's every day, that's not going to help either. And it's similar with mental fitness too. Like you can do the reps, you can meet with your coach, but that pausing, that reflecting, that other time is really what you're pouring into yourself. It's kind of like what you speak into your mind is what that nutrition is for you.
Yeah.
And if it's constantly negative thoughts, it's negative ideas, it's not really who you actually are, then that's going to manifest itself in your life. And that's why it's so important to check in with your coach and be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Because the coach can say, is that true? Is that really who you are? And ask those good questions. And then you can start to think, I need to change what I'm putting inside of my mind. Much in the same way that a nutritionist or a fitness trainer would say to you, stop eating McDonald's, start eating healthy in that sense.
Yeah.
So was there a moment for you where mental fitness kind of clicked? It wasn't just something you taught, it was maybe something that you needed. Are there things that you've learned personally in your own life with this?
I'll give you a quick example. I think I've got a 10-year-old too, who just turned 10 this past couple of weeks ago. So
That's awesome.
you probably be able to relate.
Yeah.
And I mean, every child's season has its own highs and lows, if you will. But a couple of days ago, he came up to me and he said, "Dad, there's something that you said that I was a little bit offended by." And I basically asked him, and I actually used my Forte coach mindset. And I'm just sitting down with him because now I've got to handle my own son and ask some questions and listen empathetically. So I basically asked him, "Hey, what is bothering you? What happened?" He didn't want to open up at first. So I tried to dig in a little deeper. And he started pouring out what was causing him to have some friction between him and me, and the things that I may have said. And obviously he poured out like just not that, but just on and on and on. At that point, I realized, I'm going to put on my Forte hat on. And not a dad hat on necessarily, even though I've got to put both at the same time. I listened to him. I just said, what is there? Is there anything more deeper than that? Because what I did not want it to happen is something that's bothering him now would prolong in the future, that would cause him to have a different opinion or a perspective of either dad or life in general. And so he went on for a good 10, 15 minutes and poured out, Dad, my life is so full. I've got so much thing on my plate. I'm stressed out. And a 10-year-old saying that hit me some alarm bells, to be honest with you. I was like, wow, I don't know if there's anything that you have that it has to be so stressful in life at 10 years old. But I listened to him. And then after about 15, 20 minutes after he was done, I said, "Hey, may I ask you a couple questions? May I tell you, one, first, I am sorry. Let me reflect that on you, that you felt that way. But more than that, let me ask you, how and why are you thinking that way, the way I said it to you?" And so he pondered on some of the questions I asked him right out the bat, and he's like, "Wow, I never thought it from that perspective." Long story short, I basically talked to him for 5-7 minutes, and I could see some tears boil up in his eyes. And after 5-7 minutes, he said, "Dad, thank you for just letting me pour out and be open to what I had to say. And that thank you for listening, and thank you for asking those questions." And he just gave me a good big hug, and he just bawled. And so to answer your question, I think my reflection on my personal life is, in my past, before Forte, with my mental fitness, I probably would have just cut him right at the middle where he said, "Hey, I'm so stressed, I've got too much on my plate." I'd probably say, "Hey, son, I don't know about that. That's not a factual statement. Let me tell you why." But I listened to him. But I think in my personal life, that allowed me to reflect, hear him, understand him, see the root of the problem, and analyze and respond to him so that he understood the full picture. Also showed him that there is patience in handling situation that might be complex. And sometimes it just takes time. So I thought, personally, I could reflect that, like I said earlier, the rep of pausing. I just had to pause myself, my mental fitness of pausing, reflecting, and then acting so that I can engage with him in a much better way.
I think that's such a great story of how you can use that personally. And I've had moments like that with my own kids where they start to say negative comments, and it's like, reframe that. How can you say that? Like, think about what you actually have in life, and let's talk about some gratitude and things, because the reality is kids bring in a lot of heightened emotion to everything. And I remember as a youth pastor for senior high, even, it was like, me and this girl have been dating for 2 months, and I think I'm going to marry her, and it was like, okay, let's talk through this. And, but there's such heightened emotion all the way into adulthood. And even in adulthood, there's heightened emotion. And it's what people bring into the conversation that you need to get into with getting to know them. And asking those questions and saying, okay, you're coming in hot. Why? Let's sit back. And kudos to you for having the patience to do that with your son, because I think a lot of the times as parents, it's just kind of like, that's ridiculous. You're not going to talk, like, we're not talking about this. You have nothing to worry about. I've got it taken care of. I've done that with my kids. And sometimes, like you said, they just want to be heard and be like, yeah, I feel this. And they're big feelings. So
that goes back to that same question or the statement you mentioned. We all are humans at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We all want to be seen and heard.
Yep.
And giving that opportunity for everyone that I talk to, especially even my own son. Hey, okay, spill out, pour out. Yep. Don't put anything in your heart. Whether it's even small things, large things, just there's no need. Just empty it out. I'm a vessel that you can pour out to.
So you mentioned earlier the difference between mental fitness and mental health. If you could change one thing about how our culture talks about mental health versus mental fitness, what would it be, and why does it matter to you?
I think our culture, unfortunately, the culture talks about mental health more than mental fitness. I think everywhere. I mean, you look at billboards, you look at social media, athletes. It's all about, hey, I've got to restore my mental health. You know, I've got to have some time off from my mental health. Nothing wrong with that. But like I said, I think mental health is such an overarching, encompassing, external, right? But if we were to dig more deeper in, I think it's that rhythm of mental fitness that you deal with every single day. Hey, where is my mental capacity? Where is my mental valve right now? What am I inputting in from a fitness standpoint, and what am I outputting? Giving out from my mental fitness standpoint, because there's always a exchange. Even when we work out in the physical, there's always an exchange. You're giving away some energy so you can gain some muscle or some thing back. And I think even with mental fitness, you got to be willing to give something away in order to get the health that you need mentally, right? So that the fitness, the energy for you to be stronger, for you to be healthier, again, encompassing health and at large, is what I find today's culture not being able to differentiate mental health versus mental fitness. Mental fitness is more on a day-to-day, rhythm-to-rhythm, more cognizant, more clarity of where your mind is at. Mental health is generally all-encompassing. Hey, it's more of a BMI index. Hey, you know, my mental health is at a certain level, but mental fitness is more, am I taking the time to reflect, act, engage, pause on my life? Those are some of the reps that we do, but those are some actions we can always look into to ensure that we are actually, my fitness is at a good level. I am at a place where because of my fitness, my mental health is stronger.
And let's be honest, mental fitness is not easy.
Absolutely.
It takes work. And we do live in a culture where people would rather just come into a therapy session and say, fix me, rather than I need to do some work. And it's interesting because our customer success manager came across a very popular person's new platform, and they used the term mental fitness. And so we were looking at it, like, how do they define mental fitness? And essentially it was defined as do whatever makes you feel good. And it was like, well, that's kind of the culture we're in right now, isn't it? Of like, whatever makes you feel good, that's going to make you feel fit. That's not true. I drove through Culver's last night and had a fried pickle burger, and it was disgusting. It was greasy. And I knew I wanted it because I was like, I feel down today. I'm going to treat myself to this. But it wasn't good. It wasn't, it was tasty, but it wasn't good for me. And it left me feeling gross. So if I was to use the world's mentality, I would be eating Culver's burgers all the time because that, in the moment, I thought it would make me feel better. But the real work is the fitness aspect of it, of
absolutely
taking the supplements, doing the work, working out, getting a trainer, doing all that stuff. And that's hard work. And unfortunately, there is a society of like, here's a prescription, here's the fix, and there's no work involved. So I appreciate you kind of deciphering that for us and unpacking that a little bit.
Absolutely.
Without naming anybody, is there a moment that captures why this work matters to you beyond the theory of it?
I have seen stories after stories. The best part about Forte, I'll tell you this: I've never met the person. I've never seen the person,
Mm-hmm.
and I've actually have one connection that I am currently with. It's been a year and a half, and I think it matters most. Why, at least to me, is because I've seen this transformation take place on the other end.
Yep.
When this person came in at the first, when we first had an encounter, this person was like, I just need some help in certain areas.
Yeah.
I said, okay, let's talk about it, and analyze what's going on rather than just saying fix me.
Yep.
Because it is a repetitive exercise.
Yep.
And it takes time, it takes energy, it takes effort. It takes your part, it takes my part, and over time, I have seen this person again. We have the cadence of connecting very frequently now.
Yeah.
But over time, I have seen how this individual has grown up to become who I'll put it in a way spiritually where God has created her to be. The purpose, the just the light of excitement.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Or hey, you know what? I interacted with my coworker just differently today or this week, and I never used to think that way, and it helped me feel so much better now.
Yeah.
Like I don't even have to think mentally at all. Before, mentally, I was so drained. I was anxious. I was nervous talking to this coworker. But now it doesn't feel that way because of the exercise we've been able to do over time. This individual has really been able to see the transformation.
Yeah.
And I think that's that's why I feel, again, not to put Forte in the middle, but that's why mental fitness and what Forte does with mental fitness is so key. And it's a hidden gem. Most people can't see it, but I think you've got to be able to dive in to experience it. And the folks who I connect with, who have dove in with me, year and a half, 2 years, even 3 months, I'm like, wow, some of the questions I never thought about. Yeah. And now I'm exercising those questions into my daily routines, and it's helped me tremendously. And so I think it's important for me, it gives me more reason and more purpose to see the transformation and the light and the mental, again, their mental health be stronger. Why? Because of the mental fitness component of daily practice that they do every single day has tremendously helped. So it's very rewarding, at least for me personally too. And it's important for everybody.
Yeah. And it's rewarding for the members too. And I think you hit on something that I wanted to clarify a little bit. You said, I've never seen this person. Some people might assume these are video calls. This is like, we're rocking back to the 80s and 90s. This is just a phone call. This is like, you're talking to somebody on the other end who could be walking their dog or sitting in their PJs at home. You would never know because it's just a phone call. And it harkens back to humans being humans, having connection, having a conversation. And it really is something that's missing in society. And it's obviously working, and it's something that matters to people of like, I just had a conversation with somebody for a half hour, and it brings a lot of clarity. So if there's somebody listening right now and they're thinking, maybe I should look into this, maybe I should take it more seriously. You mentioned the people who kind of had that impression when they first started, but they're 3 months in and now they're like, wow, this is great. What would you say to somebody who's maybe on the fence about this thing?
You won't know how deep the water is until you dive into it.
Ooh, that's good.
Right? Because you got to be able to plunge in. You can't just see from the top and say, hey man, I don't know if I can swim on it or not.
Yeah.
I think the coaches are the lifeguards for you, if you will, on the pool. But you have to dive in to experience the beauty underneath the water. And I think with anyone on the fence, I'd encourage them. In fact, I'd challenge them to say, hey, so dive in the deep pool. You will know more about who you are and what God has created you to become. And you'll start understanding I'll give you a prime example. I talked to executives as well. Some of the members of Forte are some executives that I've been talking to, and sometimes they feel like they know it all, right? But life can be very full. And I just basically bring them back into, we're all humans at the end of the day. And let's just try to come back into reality and analyze where we are, what's important in your life.
Yeah.
And what I have come to learn, even people who are in the executive side of business, or even in just normal coworkers or employees, it makes them ponder and think, wow, life is actually very beautiful.
Yeah.
And I can do so much if my mental health with the mental fitness component is healthier, or I have a rhythm and a cadence. So if anybody's in on the fence, I challenge them, take a dive, know yourself, know your why, know who you are, and find out. And there's so much beauty inside of you that will start revealing, that will still start coming out. And I think everyone should be a part of mental fitness.
That's great. You just gave us a commercial right there. That's awesome. I love that. Okay, we're going to dive into something we've not done before. I don't even know if this will end up making the cut or not, but essentially is rapid fire for you. So no long answers needed. This is can be fast. What's one word you overuse in sessions?
I'll probably say, sometimes I start off with, hey, what's in the top of your mind?
What's a book, practice, or habit that trains your own agency?
I read multiple books. So I'm more in the leadership type books. I love reading leadership books. So that really helps me think through where my mind and my mental fitness and my mental health is. Because I'm in leadership position, leadership calls. And so it helps me really dive into leadership components. In fact, I know you meant this is short, rapid fire, but I'll say this. I actually encouraged one of my members, actually two of my members, to read a book that I just finished reading. And I asked them, hey, let's go. One of them, I said, let's go with this book, chapter 2, 1 or 2 next time when we meet. And so I'm excited to dive in. So
yeah, that's awesome. All right, next one. Pause, act, connect, engage, or restore. Which one do you personally neglect?
In my personal life?
Yeah.
Probably restore.
Okay. We don't need to get into it any deeper than that, but I think we can all use more restoration in our lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Composition, capacity, flexibility, or endurance. Which pillar do you find yourself coaching toward most often lately?
I think endurance, because I think people don't know how to enjoy, and they all go to everybody's trying to look for the next best thing.
Last one. Finish the sentence. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need fill in the blank.
You just need rest and pause.
I love it. Kind of actually the way you said that made me feel like, rest and pause. It was good. All right. Well, thank you so much for the conversation, Anu. This has been great. And if you're watching and want to know more about mental fitness, we encourage you to go to getforte.com. We offer this for your whole business. We offer it for you as individuals. This really is changing lives, and we would love for you to spread the word and share this video, subscribe to us. And we've got a lot of other videos out there as well about mental fitness and how you can utilize it. So we appreciate your time. Thank you very much.